upload. By the way, no, if you have seen your course, I have already uploaded activity number 10, okay, on your course. By the way, this is a continuation of our activity number 9. Our activity number 9 was all about hosts, okay? Ito class, parang continuation lang din siya, pero much more on the parasite itself, okay? And the relationship between between the hosts, other hosts, and different types of mode of transmission. Okay? So I'm going to upload yung activity number 10. Hindi kaya. Okay? Nakikita niyo ba yung ating conference? Okay? Visible ba siya? Okay, so wait lang ha. Okay, so our conference today class is all about the other types of transmission, mode of transmission, sources of parasitic exposure, and we will going to start with the vector. By the way, when we say vector class, part pala ito before ng ito yung part siya, masasabi nating part siya ng host. Okay? Vector, when you say vector class, is a combination of transporter or carrier, okay, intermediate, and reservoir host. Yun lang, tinanggal siya sa category or the roster of the different types of hosts because of its classification. Vectors mostly are lower forms of animals. Usually they are arthropods. Basically they are insects. Okay, insects, spiders, kaya siya tinanggal doon sa roster ng mga host. And they separated it and they called it vector. Okay? When we say vector class, they are any arthropod or other living carrier which transport a pathogenic microorganisms from an infected to non-infected host. So, kinakalat nila yung infection. Okay, so there are two types of vectors. We have biological and mechanical. When we say biological class, these are vectors that complete the life cycle of the parasite. In other words, class, para siyang intermediate host, di ba? Because intermediate host, ano bang nangyayari? Okay? Nagkakaroon ng morphologic changes from immature, nagiging mature, and then leveling hanggang papunta siya sa definitive host. Okay? Same with biological vectors. The only difference is biological vectors class are insects or arthropods. When we say intermediate host naman, they are much more higher forms of animals katulad ng aso, pusa, okay, pigs, the cows. Okay, so yun. So, example of this are the Anopheles. So, they are the vectors for Plasmodium, the one that causes malaria. Okay? We have also Phlebotomus. These are Phlebotomus fly. Okay? They are the vector for Leishmania. We have also Glossina, the vector for Trypanosoma, the African sleeping sickness. Okay? So, yung mga mahilig matulog dyan, baka naman hindi natin alam, meron na kayong African sleeping sickness, no? So later on, I'm going to show you video. Okay. Lastly, we have Simulium, a vector for Onchocerca volvulus. Yan siya. Okay. So fly pa rin siya, and etc. Okay. So another type of vector class is the mechanical. Okay, mechanical vectors. When we say mechanical vectors class, okay, para siyang transporter or carrier host. Okay, tinatawag siyang parathenic or transporter vectors. Okay, they are the passive carriers of parasites, not essential in the life cycle. Ibig sabihin, katulad din ng carrier host. There are no morphologic changes na nagaganap sa parasites sa loob ng katawan nila. Pero, the only role of the carrier vector is ikalat yung infection. Okay? So example of this class is our housefly and cockroach. Sorry, wrong spelling. No, cockroaches yan siya. Cockroach yan siya as a mechanical vector of amoeba and giardia. Amoeba, giardia, and other amoebas, no? Amoebic infection. Okay? So, wait lang. I'm going to show you a video of how Glossina, okay, Glossina fly can cause trypanosomiasis, okay, or the African sleeping sickness. Mas kilala siya as African sleeping sickness. Okay? So Glossina is tinatawag din siya ang kissing bug. Okay, sa video malalaman natin kung bakit siya tinatawag na sleeping bug or kissing bug. Okay?
A brutal killer invades a traveler's blood.
He said it was very, very critical that you get to medicine that quickly, otherwise you're dead. I've been to Africa 11 times. We were there 3.5 months ago, and I was there for a little over 3 weeks.
But 2 weeks into the trip, Dwight suddenly starts to feel unwell.
I just started to feel very, very weak. One day you wake up and you're so weak that you can't hardly get out of bed. I just got weaker and weaker and weaker until I was so weak I couldn't stand on my own.
What's astounding is that the illness that has Dwight fighting for his life started with a simple fly bite.
Africa is a big place, and there's different animals, different pests in different places. But in Tanzania, you have the tsetse flies. They are about the size of a housefly and normally a little bit bigger. But they're just extremely aggressive, and you just hate to have them pestering you all day long.
But the tsetse fly that bit Dwight wasn't just a nuisance. It was infected with a deadly parasite, a single-celled killer called trypanosoma. And when the fly bit him, these parasites flooded into Dwight's bloodstream. Inside his body, these cunning intruders began to divide and elongate. They used their long tails, called flagellum, to swim throughout his bloodstream. The result is a severe case of trypanosomiasis, or African sleeping sickness. Dwight's immune system is helpless to stop the microscopic assassins. Each individual trypanosoma parasite is armed with a shield of proteins. In the bloodstream, white blood cells recognize these proteins as foreign, and they build up antibodies that attack the proteins. But trypanosomes can actually change their protein coat of armor, rendering the blood's antibodies useless. This leaves them free to reproduce and devastate the body's red blood cells, the very cells that carry nutrients and oxygen throughout the body. Starved of nutrients, the patient goes into a coma and ultimately dies.
Okay, so nakita nyo ba kung paano nagkukos ng infection ang isang simpleng tsetse fly, okay, or the Glossina bug. Okay? Kaya siya kissing sickness, no? Kasi pag kinis niya ka class, matutulog ka. Para siyang sleeping beauty. Okay? So, how do this infection spread? Okay? Or saan ba natin nakukuha ito? Okay? I know that we are being exposed to the parasite, no? But where or when? Okay? So first, we have the sources of exposure to parasitic infection. The most common source of infection class or the source of infection is contaminated soil. Okay, most of our parasites, no, we have nematodes, cestodes, okay, are being or houses or lodged in soils. Okay, so soils polluted with human excreta or yung feces ng tao, na infected with these parasites is commonly responsible for the exposure to infection with Ascaris, Ascaris lumbricoides, Strongyloides stercoralis, Trichuris tricura, and hookworms. Okay, sila yung mga common. So these are intestinal parasites. Okay, so bakit lupa, class? Okay, and if you notice, why do some or most of these infected patients are mga bata? Okay, aside from aside from their immune system is lower, okay, their exposure is much more higher because they are more prone in playing with soil, di ba? Mas mahilig silang maglaro, mas wala silang pakialam sa mga maduming bagay. Okay, so they are much more exposed. Okay, hindi ko lang alam ngayon, class, no? Kasi yung mga bata ngayon hindi naman naglalaro sa lupa, nasa internet. Okay, nasa cellphone. Okay, sa time namin ganun. Okay, naglalaro, habulan. Okay, so after niyang class, ipupurga ka and merong makukuha na adult form ng parasite doon sa stool ng patient or sa bata. Kasi nga, they are much more acquainted with playing with soil, okay, or contaminated soil. Ngayon lang, I don't know kung ano na. Okay, another is contaminated water. Okay, water may contain viable cysts of amoeba, flagellates, and Taenius-solium eggs, cercarial stages of human blood flukes, cyclopes containing larvae of Dranoculus medinensis, and freshwater fish, which are sources for fish tapeworm and intestinal fluke infection. So another is crab or crayfishes that are sources for lung fluke, yung Paragonimus westermanii, and water plant, which are sources for Phachelopsis busci. Okay, so I know that you are not familiar pa sa mga terms, no? Sige lang. These are our next topic, probably midterm or finals. Okay, so these are the parasites and their sources na namamahay sa tubig. We have crabs, fishes, water plants na pwede maging source nitong parasites. Even the water itself, class. Okay, we have amoeba, di ba? Another one, class. Wait lang. Okay, so another one is insufficiently cooked meat of pork and beef. Okay, yung mga mahilig sa steak, no? Okay, yung mga medium rare dyan, rare to medium rare, yung may mga dugo pa, which contains infective stage of the parasite. For example, we have Trichinella spiralis and Taenia species. Okay, Taenia solium for pigs and Taenia saginata for cows. Okay, so these parasites, class, are mayroong mga larval stage, no, na nasa mast cells ng mga hayop na ito. Okay, specifically pigs and cows. Yung mahilig dating gawing steak, di ba? Mahilig gawing pulutan. Okay? So ito yung mga infective stage ng parasite na nakalodge doon sa muscle na nakakain ng tao. Okay, lalong-lalo na if the meat is uncooked or raw. Okay. So there are practices, class, no, wherein So there are practices, class, no, wherein their culture allows them to eat the meat raw. Okay? May mga culture. Hindi ko lang alam dito sa Philippines if yung mga native people, they are eating, I think meron sa Ifugao, they are eating the meat raw because of sacrifice or parang alay, okay, for a bountiful harvest. Dito din sa Philippines, pero hindi ko lang alam dito. Okay? I know fish, di ba? People are eating fishes raw, lalo sa mga Japanese, di ba? Sushi, di ba? We have yung mga tuna natin na kinakain ng hilaw. Yes, sashimi, yun, mga mahilig sa mga raw. So, of course, they can also be a source of parasitic infection. Okay? So, another one, class, is we have the blood-sucking arthropods. Katulad nung nakita ninyo kanina, we have the different types of vectors. So these are intransmissible. For example, we have the malaria by female Anopheles mosquito. Okay. Again, I will repeat, female Anopheles mosquito. The only role of the male class is to provide or to fertilize the female and to give nutrients sa female. Pero hindi sila nangangagat. Ang nangangagat talaga class are the female Anopheles mosquito. Okay? And then Leishmania, okay? The source for Phlebotomus fly or Phlebotomus fly, yes, Phlebotomus vector. Trypanosoma yun, nakita nyo kanina, Glossina or the Cheche fly. And we have the Wuchereria by Culicini mosquito. Okay? Bancrofti. Wuchereria bancrofti ang tawag sa ang parasite na yun. Okay? So they are vectors. Another one class are animals. So for example, we have the domestic or wild harboring the parasite. So di natin alam no na yung mga pets pala natin sa bahay can carry the parasite na nagiging cause ng infection. For example, we have dogs that are direct source of human infection with the hydatid cyst caused by Echinococcus granulosus. Okay, katulad siya class ng Trichinella spiralis and Taenia species. The only difference class is the host. Okay, kung sa Trichinella and sa Taenia, they are pigs and cows. Sa Echinococcus granulosus class, sa dogs naman sila. Okay, larval stage pa rin siya, hydatid cyst, pero nandoon siya sa muscles ng dogs. And then, same din sa human class. Hydatid cyst din ang pwedeng mag-form doon sa muscles ng human. Okay? So, usually class, nag-transport yan sila at pwede silang umabot doon sa utak. Nagkukos sila ng parang cyst form, and when you perform MRI, makikita yan doon, hydatid cyst. Okay? I think I have a video class, no? Wait lang. Yung how to get the hydatid cyst. Hydatid cyst. Sa ultrasound. Okay. Yes. Okay. Ngayon nyo yung itsura ng hydatid cyst na makikita class sa liver. Ito na lang sa liver. Ito na lang, brain. Hydatid cyst sa human brain. Okay? Hydatid cyst class is the infective and diagnostic stage ng Echinococcus granulosus. Okay? Yung pwede rin matransmit sa dogs at pwede ding umabot sa tao. Okay? Yan yung class. Wala bang video? Wala. Ito, meron na. Wala pa rin. Okay. Wait lang, hanap na ako ng iba. Hindi siya ma-play because of restriction guidelines. Sayang. Maganda sana ito. Ito na lang. Okay, tayo ko ito ha. Ay, ayaw pa rin. Bakit? Ano lang ikulay? Ito daw. Last. Yan. Right. This is hydatid cyst removal class sa liver. Okay? Hydatid cyst removal sa liver.
Ang unang sis na ng puti, no? Ang klase ko to.
Cuma ko niya ito. Lumog ka na to. Ganyan pala pagkuulan to. Oo.
Yan yung mga hydatid cyst class sa loob ng liver.
Yan mga bilog-bilog.
Iwasan yung hindi yan masa. Hindi yan.
Dapat di mabasag.
Uday.
Matangan na og ano. Og betadine. Nasa betadine to.
Iodine. They're putting iodine to disinfect. So yan yung future ng mga surgeon, no? So ganun talaga ang trabaho. Okay? So that's, sa mga plano ng mga doktor dyan, yun talaga ang ginagawa nila, day by day. Okay? So by the way, class, so yun, if you notice, cyst talaga siya na merong parasite sa loob. The larval stage of the parasite na sa loob ng cyst na yan. Okay? That's Echinococcus granulosus or hydatid cyst. Okay? By the way, no, hindi lang sa liver makikita yon. Pwede ding sa brain and other parts of the body. Pwede sa muscles. Okay? Next, we have human beings. Okay, human beings as another source of infection. Class, take note, class, pwedeng clothing, beddings, or the intermediate environment that he contaminated are directly responsible for all or considerable amount of infection with pathogenic amoeba. For example, Entamoeba histolytica, Enterobis vermicularis, Hymenopus neina are sources or pwedeng mabuhay ng matagal doon sa mga non-living things na gamit ng isang infected human being or infected person. Katulad ng damit, beddings na hindi siya nalinis or hindi na decontaminate. Okay? Another is sexual intercourse. Okay? So I know that we have already discussed this, no? We have Trichomonas vaginalis. We have also yung oral anal na sex for homosexual men na pwedeng mag-cause ng infection transmitted from intestinal from intestine or yung sexual contact from male to male at pwedeng maging source ng infection. Okay? Pwede siya maging intestinal infection kasi nga, di ba, they are using anal sex and then they will go into resort to oral. Okay? So, yun yung nagiging mode of transmission when it comes to other types of parasites. Okay? Aside from the normal sexual intercourse na Trichomonas vaginalis yung natatransmit. By the way, Trichomonas vaginalis class is nabilong na siya sa mga STD or sexually transmitted na disease. Okay? And lastly, we have autoinfection. When we say autoinfection class, we have Strongyloides torcoralis, Enterobis vermicularis, and Taenia solium. What do we mean by autoinfection class? So I'm going to show you again another video of how autoinfection occurs in Tila malinaw. Okay, brownout sa Kiamba. Okay, so I'm going to show you another video, no, of how autoinfection occurs in the life cycle of the parasite. Paano ba nagko-cause ng autoinfection yung isang infection, yung isang existing infection ng isang parasite? Okay?
Kuya ko, ano to? Kuya ko, powerbank nito to. Kay loba-loba to. Dito sa
It's a life cycle class ng Strongyloides torcoralis.
So, it's almost vacation time and you're looking forward to your next getaway? It's nice to prepare everything you need, but while doing so, make sure to plan ahead against parasites that can hitchhike a ride with you. When you travel to endemic areas of Strongyloides, mainly tropical zones, The cycle starts when you walk bare feet on humid, muddy soil. This is where the infective filariform larva is lurking. The larva penetrates the skin and migrates in the veins to the right side of the heart. It will then be sent via the bloodstream to the lungs. Larva will then be coughed up and swallowed to reach the digestive system. However, there is also evidence that larvae can migrate directly to the intestine via connective tissues. In the duodenum, they will mature to become adult female worms. The female will produce eggs by parthenogenesis in the epithelium of the intestine. Eggs hatch to give the non-infectious form of the larva called rhabditiform, which will migrate to the intestinal lumen. The rhabditiform larva can either be passed in the stool or go through an alternative trajectory to cause autoinfection of the same host. In autoinfection, the rhabditiform larvae become infective filariform larvae, which can penetrate either the intestinal mucosa or the skin of the perianal area to disseminate throughout the body. Rhabditiform larvae passed in the stool reaching muddy soil could go through an alternate cycle by sexual reproduction. Larvae will mature to become males and females, which will mate. The female will produce eggs, which will hatch, giving more rhabditiform larvae. These larvae will mature into infective form, ready to find the host or continue free living in nature. So, simply avoid walking barefoot on humid, muddy soil and you're safe from these roundworms.
Nakita niyo kung paano nagkakos ng auto-infection. The rhabditiform larvae class was supposed to be excreted on the feces or the stool. Okay? Yun dapat yung magiging diagnostic stage. Pero si the rhabditiform larvae class, yung ayaw niyang sumama sa stool. So pumunta siya sa intestinal mucosa. Pumasok siya and then pumunta siya sa ating mga smooth muscles. Okay? Sa intestine, okay? And nag-cause na naman siya ulit ng infection. Kaya siya auto-infection. Okay? Yung supposed to be na parasite, rhabditiform larvae, okay, ng Strongyloides stercoralis na supposed to be lalabas sa stool, bumalik. Okay? Dumaan siya sa intestinal mucosa, papunta ulit sa intestine, and nag-cause ng auto-infection. Okay? Yan yung tinatawag natin na auto-infection sa parasitic transmission. Okay? So now let's go on to or move on to mode of transmission class. Okay, it is divided into two. We have the direct mode of transmission and indirect mode. Okay? So direct mode of transmission class is the parasite does not require biologic vectors and or intermediate host and requires only a single host to complete the life cycle. It may use mechanical vectors for transmission. So this certain mode of transmission class is wherein direct siya, okay, from the environment going to the host. Usually class definitive host. Minsan naman merong carrier, okay? Pero walang intermediate host, wala ding vectors. Carrier lang, okay? Minsan sa lupa, from the soil, diretso siya sa definitive host, which is human, okay? So example of this is the transmission mainly affected through fecal-oral route. For example, amoeba, di ba? Nakukuha natin sa contaminated water, contaminated food, and then we get infected with amoebiasis. We became sick, and then we excreted again the parasite, okay? And the cycle continues. So usually ganun. Most intestinal parasites transmitted in this way, and another one is sexual intercourse and blood transfusion and direct skin penetration. For example, yung ating schizostoma, di ba, na nakakita natin sa soil, direct siya pumapasok sa skin ng tao. Although si schizostoma meron siyang vector which intermediate host which is the snails. Okay? Another transmission class is yung tinatawag nating vertical. By the way, when we say human to human infection class, tinatawag yung horizontal. Okay? From one human being or one infected person to another healthy, magiging infected person na naman yan, tinatawag yung class horizontal. direct mode of transmission. Horizontal mode of transmission ang tawag dyan. Okay? Pero pag katulad ng sexual intercourse, okay? Blood transfusion, horizontal pa rin yan. Okay? When we say vertical naman class, vertical direct mode of transmission, this is usually from the mother to the baby. Okay? Or congenital or transplacental, even transmammary. Okay? Na transmission. Okay? Transmission of the parasite from the mother to child, congenital, transplacental, and transmammary. Yes, class. There are parasites which can cross the placenta, even lodge on the mammary gland, and can be transmitted when you breastfed your baby. Okay? So may mga ganong klase ng infection like Toxoplasma gondii, okay, na nakukuha sa cats, no? Nakukuha sa pusa. Pwede siyang, yung may mga pets dyan, may mga pet sa bahay na usually yung pusa na yun hindi mo alam saan galing, di ba? Or saan pumupunta. Okay? Umuwi lang pag kumakain or matutulog na. Okay? And then there you go, na merong pregnant person doon sa bahay ninyo, katabi niyo matulog, yun pala ang pusa na yun class is infected with Toxoplasma gondii. And then matransmit niya doon sa pregnant mother. And then that certain parasite class can directly cross the placenta and infect the unborn child. Okay, yun yung danger doon. Okay? So next topic pala natin si Toxoplasma sa lecture, kaya madidiscuss din natin siya. Okay? So even breast milk. Okay? So another mode of transmission plus is the indirect mode. Yun naman yung mga complex life cycle naman. Okay? Yung nag-require ng vectors, intermediate host for the transmission of infection. Okay? Again, direct mode is divided into two. You have the horizontal and vertical. So the mode of transmission is direct and indirect. Again, indirect, direct. Si direct is divided into horizontal and vertical. Okay? So another one, class, is the route of transmission. Okay? Saan ba sila nakukuha? The infective stage of the parasites may be transmitted in the following ways. We have ingesting infective stage of the parasite. Sa pagkain, for example, we have Entamoeba histolytica and Enterobius vermicularis. Okay. By the way, okay, later na lang. And another one in raw or uncooked meat, Taenia saginata, Taenia solium, and Taenia spiralis. Trichinella spiralis, by the way. Another is uncooked or raw fish, crab, or water vegetation. For example, we have the intestinal flukes. And lastly, we have the water-containing copepods. Yung mga copepods kasi parang maliliit na crabs or maliliit na insect doon sa tubig that carries yung Dracunolus medinensis. Okay? Okay, we have also skin penetration. Okay, from Strongyloides stercoralis or the hookworm. Water-containing infective stages of the parasite, for example, the Cercaria of Schistosoma species. We have also through the insect bites. Okay, for example, we have filarial worms, Trypanosoma species, Plasmodium species, Leishmania. Okay, and we have also sexual intercourse. Example, Trichomonas vaginalis, transmammary, Strongyloides stercoralis. And tingnan nyo ito, class, it is another development sa life cycle or sa mode of transmission ng Enterobius vermicularis or yung kigwa. They can be transmitted through inhalation. Take note, they can be transmitted through inhalation. Kaya siguro, class, yung sinabi natin na topic natin from Scotch tape method, bakit familial infection si Enterobius vermicularis, di ba? Aside from mahawakan mo siya and then mapunta doon sa kinakain mo, they can also yung ova or yung egg ng Enterobius vermicularis can be inhaled and can be transmitted to a healthy individual. And of course, you will get the infection or you will be infected also. Okay? We have also the transplacental, yung sabi ko kanina from cats, no? The Toxoplasma gondii. And we have also the kissing sickness, okay? The Trichomonas gingivalis and Trichomonas, kissing sickness. Kissing. Through kissing class, makakakuha ka ng parasite. Again, through kissing, makakakuha ka ng parasite. We have discussed Trichomonas gingivalis, yung naglalodge sa ating mga gums. Okay? And we have Trichomonas tenax. Okay? And these are for our activity question. Okay, so mamaya na yan. I am going to show you a video again of how raw fishes class can cause or transmit parasitic infection. Okay? Yung mga mahilig sa sushi, mahilig sa sashimi, okay, yung mga Japanese food. There is a documentary class wherein they have already discussed para siyang long-term documentary wherein they have discussed on how Japanese, okay, prepare their food, and after 10 years, nagkaroon siya ng parasitic infection. Okay? So ito yung video.
And welcome to another episode of Hiroyuki Tadada, Diaries of a Master Sushi Chef. Hiro, how are you?
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. All right, Hiro, we got a great video today for all of our viewers. Tell us what we're doing today.
Yes, we have you can see the amberjack.
Okay. Should we maybe bring it into the light more? I don't know, just maybe slide this over.
Okay.
The lighting is not so great here. This is just over 21 pounds. It's an Atlantic and Pacific fish, and they grow up to 40 pounds. This is already very, very big. 20 pounds, huh? But what do you think about this fish? You have any? You used to work with it before?
Amberjack, yes. When I was in Japan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. And how does it taste? Give us a description of the type of meat.
Yeah, similar, little bit similar, like a hamachi,
Okay.
retained white fish.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
So
how do you work on this to show our viewers?
yes, first we need to make the fillet, of course.
Okay.
So we're gonna first to take over this scale,
The scales, right?
and take over the heads, make it fillet.
Okay. All right, excellent.
Yeah. All right.
Let's begin.
Ay, kaya ang bakit na? Ayun, may nagkot na sushi yun.
We need to clean up this one.
What is that in there? That's part of the intestinal wall?
Yeah, between the bones. Or, it's kind of gross, right?
You look like a surgeon. Like
Yeah.
you look like you really
Before
like
making
surgeon.
fillet, whatever fish is big or small, we need to take over the inside.
Yes, yes.
Then this one we need to clean
Okay.
first before you put it to the. Before you start cutting the fillet. I'm gonna wash again.
Okay.
Yeah, actually I clean up already inside.
Okay.
So let me take off the scallop already. So I'm gonna first I cut off this part, come out to head. I'm gonna take it off. Then I'm going to make in the fillet,
Okay.
and then make it process to the line, and then skin off.
Okay.
Right. Okay, let's go.
Begin.
Double in bikini.
Okay. That was probably the hardest part.
Yeah, not too hard, but you need to go to the exactly the point and between the home bone.
Okay.
It's more kind of the easy. So
Let's get a look at that for our viewers out there. Okay, Hero.
okay, next one I'm gonna cut into this right,
Okay.
and then after that I'm going to go to the back side
All right.
and then take it off. So it's
And by the way, the fish came without the internals. It was already gutted.
you can see the bone here. This is the bone center.
Okay.
Oh, actually the what they call in the fish come like this, right?
Right.
So and here is the most big bone here.
Right.
All the way.
So that's your guide. You just want to cut right above that.
Then I'm going to back side. Also, make it slide all the way. Then come to the next one. You can see the bone here.
It's the same bone, but at the other side. Okay.
Wow, this is a lot of parasite here.
A lot of
You
what?
can see that?
Oh, let's take a look at that. Can you open that up again, Hero?
It's gotta grow.
Let's see.
Yeah, this fish must be very, very carefully. There's so many things here.
Those are parasites.
So,
Wow. It's gonna be interesting. Open up.
Can you open up everything?
You know, I've never seen it before, and all the fish that we brought in, this is definitely the first. And this was from one of our new suppliers. Is it still moving?
Not really. Okay. And then once you open up here, all the way up to here to they have a lip. I have to cut off the lip.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, the rib part, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Then the meat was already separated.
Let's get a close-up view for our viewers out there. These are parasites. Let me show, and it's
Only the tail side. Yes.
yeah.
And here's
So yeah, it's inside the meat. Unbelievable, huh? So this fish is infected. Oh boy. Okay.
Wow.
What? Let's see here. Hold on. Let me show. Oh boy. Yeah, that's bad. That's like tapeworm. That's horrible. Let's take another piece out here. Let me come on this side. Yeah, this is what happens. Yeah, that's. Oh boy.
Okay.
This is. Oh yeah, that's
This is
bad.
You must do check, you know.
Yeah, that's very, very bad. I mean, let me tell you what.
Nakita niyo na kung ano yung mga kinakain niyo or ano yung nasa sushi, sashimi. Okay, those are similar types of parasites. So, by the way, that was a tapeworm. Okay, tapeworm yan. Okay. So for our activity class, you need to draw a life cycle of a parasite. Choose one that shows the source of exposure to infection. Again, draw a life cycle of a parasite that shows the source of exposure to infection. Okay, ano ba? Mamimili lang kayo doon sa mga source of infection. Tubig ba? Soil ba? And you draw the life cycle here of the parasite. And number 2, choose one vector and explain its role in the life cycle of the parasite. Okay? From those given vectors kanina, examples ng vectors, choose one and explain the role of that particular vector in the life cycle of parasite. The deadline for this activity will be March 29, Monday, next week. Again, the deadline, 30, Tuesday. The deadline for the activity will be March 30, Tuesday, next week. Okay? For our quiz for today class, okay? For the quiz for today, I'm going to publish the quiz, no? Okay. Okay, so the quiz is already published. Okay, you are going to make a poster slogan that shows ways to avoid parasitic infection. Okay, just choose one. Choose one parasite and one route of transmission. Okay, for example, water or avoid water, ganyan. Hindi siya class na. When we say poster slogan, hindi siya parang infographic. Kasi although parang infographic siya, parang infographic kasi lahat ng information about the parasite nandoon. When we say poster slogan, para lang siyang no smoking, parang ganyan. No smoking, do not, no picking flowers, okay? Para siyang how to avoid, okay? Just choose one parasite and one route of transmission, okay? For example, amoeba, do not swim, may mga pictures ng amoeba because that can cause, or do not drink contaminated water, yun, mga ganun. Okay? And then showing the images of the parasite that can be transmitted through drinking or eating contaminated food and water. Okay, parang ganun. Yun ang example. Poster slogan siya. So that will be your quiz for today's conference. And the deadline is the same with activity. March 30 pa rin ang deadline. Both the activity and the quiz. Again, both the quiz and the activity, deadline is March 30. Okay, unless you have questions regarding our today's laboratory conference. May tanong ba? Sa dami ng videos na. So ayaw niyo nang kumain? Gusto niyo pa bang kumain? Okay. Nawala na kayo ng gana mag-breakfast. Gusto niyo pa ba mag-breakfast? Okay, by the way, no, Miss Lau, okay, yung concerns mo, later, ano bang oras namin? Okay, 1 to 1:30, okay, for those who did not, last na ito ha, for those kanina, for those na hindi nakapasok sa histology na quiz, okay, I'm going to open the link 1 to 1:30. Again, I am going to open the link 1 to 1:30 mamaya. Okay? So for those na hindi nakatik ng quiz, 1 to 1:30 mamaya. Yes, Miss Ocampo, I am going to open the link 1 to 1:30 mamaya. Okay? So unless you have questions, so we are going to end the conference. Okay na ba? Tanong or meron pa kayong tanong? Okay? Yung quiz, good sir, dapat not necessarily Miss Madirable, no? Pwede nyong you can use applications. Maraming applications online like Canva, or you can do it sa Word, okay? Pero kung magaling kayong mag-drawing, you can do so, okay? Okay lang. Kahit anong medium ang gamitin ninyo, okay lang. As long as makuha nyo or makagawa kayo ng slogan poster, okay? So, naintindihan ba? Nakuha ba yung instructions regarding the activity and the quiz? Okay, malinaw ba yung instructions? Okay. So kung wala ng tanong class, I guess this would be all. So thank you everyone for staying ganito kataba sa ating lab conference, no? And for our topic tomorrow, we're going to continue. We are going to continue class with miscellaneous. Konti na lang ang miscellaneous parasites, and after that, balik tayo kay flagellates. Okay? So thank you everyone, and see you tomorrow for our lecture, and be safe. Okay? Bye! Thank you.